Picture the 1990s, baggy jeans dragging on cracked sidewalks, sneakers laced in secret codes, jackets so oversized they could hide a small stereo. But these weren't just fashion quirks, they were warnings. One color of flannel could tell the wrong story. A baseball cap tilted just so could mean you belonged, or that you didn't. Why did a simple pair of shoes carry the weight of loyalty and fear? How did neighborhood crews turn thrift store finds and sports logos into a silent language of power? Tonight, we're going deep into a hidden catwalk of the streets where crime met couture, where music videos became blueprints for survival, and where every stitch could change your night. This isn't just nostalgia. It's a mystery stitched into denim and sprayed in graffiti. From Los Angeles freeways to London estates, from New York rooftops to Tokyo, back alleys gang style traveled faster than any runway trend. By the end of this story, you'll see the 90s closet in a different light. Let's rewind to the decade when fashion wasn't just worn. It was lived and feared. Streetwear before the storm. Imagine standing on a downtown corner in the very last years of the 1980s. Neon shop signs buzz overhead. Skaters roll past in bright windbreakers. Breakdancers spin on cardboard. The vibe is playful, loud, almost cartoon-colored. Clothes are about fun showing off moves, matching boombox beats, catching eyes under the city lights. But a subtle shift is coming. Underneath the party colors, a quieter current is forming. Baggy silhouettes are starting to replace tight jeans. Sports team caps and jackets Raiders black and silver. Bulls red and black pop up far from their home stadiums. Kids who have never thrown a baseball wear team gear as a street badge. The reasons are still mostly style, but the seeds of something deeper are being planted. Early pioneers of hip-hop fashion sense these changes. Brands like Cross Colors and Karl Kani talk about empowerment and community, printing bold messages on oversized tees. FUBU for us, by us, emerges with a promise of ownership and pride. These labels don't just sell clothes, they sell belonging, and belonging in any neighborhood can be powerful. Music videos of the time celebrate this colorful new streetwear. LL Cool J rocks bright Kangol hats. Salt and Pepper mix biker shorts with varsity jackets. Skate crews, graffiti artists, and club kids remix thrift finds into their own look. Streetwear is becoming a language of freedom do-it-yourself style with attitude. Yet, hidden in the crowd shots and block parties, another detail keeps catching the eye. Color coordination. Entire groups show up in the same jacket hue or identical sneakers. Sometimes it's just friendship, like a team uniform for best friends. But sometimes it's the first outline of a different kind of team, one that claims corners instead of courts. The late 80s economy adds pressure. Many neighborhoods face factory closures and job losses. Street culture fills the space left behind. Young people who want to stand out, or simply feel safe, start looking for stronger signals than fashion alone can give. Sports logos with fierce mascots, heavy gold chains, and thick leather jackets begin to carry extra meaning. Retailers feel the pull. Sneaker companies notice that a single mention in a rap lyric can empty store shelves. Designers cut baggier fits to match the new taste. What starts as a music-driven trend is already becoming a major business. Money flows in, which means more advertising and more visibility. And visibility, in turn, draws more people to the look. But not everyone sees it as harmless fun. Parents worry about prices and status pressure. School officials notice that certain colors show up when fights break out. Local news begins to use the phrase gang fashion, even when no crime is involved. The clothes are innocent. The reputation is not. By the very start of the 1990s, the stage is set. The streets are alive with bold jackets and logo caps. Young designers are ready to push boundaries. Hip-hop is about to explode into global superstardom. And in the shadows of this creative boom, neighborhood crews are watching, ready to claim symbols that speak louder than any words. This mix of excitement and tension is where our story truly begins. The playful energy of 80s streetwear will not disappear, but it is about to collide with something heavier. In the next chapter, we'll see how those bright colors and sports emblems, once just fun, turn into powerful codes that could open doors or spark danger with a single glance. Colors turn into codes. Picture an early 90s city evening. Streetlights hum to life. Music drifts from open windows. Groups of friends head to corner stores or basketball courts. At first glance, they look like any crowd of young people until you notice the patterns. A cluster in deep blue jackets on one side of the street. Across the way, flashes of red caps and bandanas. Nobody is shouting, but the message is loud. What changed? Just a few years earlier, a favorite team's cap or a bright windbreaker meant simple, personal taste. Now, in many neighborhoods from Los Angeles to Chicago, a single color can carry a whole biography. Wearing the wrong shade can turn a casual walk into a tense moment. This transformation didn't happen overnight. In West Coast cities, long-standing neighborhood crews had always used symbols to mark territory: graffiti tags, hand signs, nicknames. As sports logos and cheap cotton bandanas became widely available, they offered a new kind of badge. A red cap or a blue flannel was easier to spot from a distance than any spray paint tag. Clothing turned into an instant ID card. The choice of colors had practical roots. Blue and red bandanas were affordable and sold everywhere, from supermarkets to gas stations. Sports teams helped too. The Los Angeles Dodgers' deep blue and the Chicago Bulls' fierce red matched perfectly. What began as simple convenience grew into a coded language, an unspoken map of alliances and warnings. Once the habit formed, it spread fast. A tilted baseball cap might show not just team loyalty, but neighborhood ties. The way shoelaces were knotted or which side of a hat faced forward became tiny but loaded signals. Friends shared these secrets, and outsiders learned to read them, sometimes the hard way. Music and media amplified the code. Rap videos from the early 90s often showed artists dressed in their crew's colors, not always to promote conflict, but to represent home pride. Still, the images traveled farther than intended. Viewers across the country copied the look without always knowing its local meaning. A kid in New York or Dallas might wear a blue cap simply because it looked good, unaware that in another city that choice could spark questions. Parents, teachers, and shop owners grew uneasy. Some schools introduced dress codes, banning specific shades of red or blue. Shopping malls asked security guards to keep an eye on certain jackets. News stories warned of gang colors, sometimes exaggerating the risk, but capturing the sense that clothing now spoke a language of territory. For the young people living it, the reality was more complicated. Color could mean loyalty, yes, but also protection, community, or just style. Many wore their favorite team gear with zero interest in crime. Yet the outside world often treated every red or blue outfit as a statement. Clothes became both armor and trap. By the mid-90s, the idea of color as a code had crossed oceans. In London, Paris, and Tokyo, crews adopted their own palettes, blending local culture with the American template. What began in a handful of neighborhoods became a global visual shorthand for strength, rebellion, and identity. This evolution from simple fashion to silent language set the tone for the decade. Garments that once shouted fun now whispered warning. But the story didn't end with colors. On the far side of the continent, another force was shaping the next layer of style, one that combined laid-back attitude with a sharp street edge. And so we move west, to the city where baggy pants and plaid shirts would rewrite fashion history. In the next chapter, we'll step into Los Angeles and see how the West Coast blueprint defined the look of an era. The West Coast blueprint sunset over Los Angeles in the early 90s. The sky glows dusty orange, palm trees cut black shapes against the light, and the city hums with a restless energy. Out on Crenshaw or Compton Boulevard, you see a new uniform taking shape. Wide khaki pants sweep the pavement. Flannel shirts, buttoned only at the top, hang loose in the warm air. White T-shirts shine bright under streetlights, and Nike Cortez sneakers glide across cracked sidewalks. This isn't high fashion, but it's unforgettable. What you're looking at is more than a dress code. It's a lifestyle forged by the city's unique mix of music, car culture, and social tension. Chicano lowrider crews and African-American neighborhoods each add their own flavor, blending West Coast cool with an undercurrent of grit. The oversized flannel shirt, inspired by working men's wardrobes, becomes a key piece, cheap, durable, and easy to layer. Los Angeles at the time is a city of contrasts. Glittering Hollywood parties sit just miles from streets struggling with unemployment and strained policing. After the unrest of 1992, the atmosphere is charged. Young people find ways to claim space and identity, and clothing becomes a quiet declaration. I belong. I'm not to be overlooked. Music pumps this look into the world. NWA, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and later Tupac Shakur wear the uniform proudly in music videos and album covers. Every time a new video premieres on MTV or BET, millions of viewers absorb the style. Oversized khakis and Raiders jackets become as iconic as the beats themselves. Suddenly, what began as neighborhood wear is a global statement. Low-rider car culture adds another layer. Custom-painted Chevys bounce to the rhythm of hydraulic shocks, and their owners match the cars with perfectly creased pants and spotless sneakers. The goal is to look effortlessly sharp, even while cruising slow. This attention to detail spreads into hip-hop circles and beyond. The West Coast blueprint, as magazines start to call it, isn't about flashing wealth. Instead, it shows calm control. Big clothes give freedom of movement and a sense of quiet power. White T-shirts, cheap and always fresh, signal discipline and pride. Accessories stay minimal. Maybe a single gold chain or a plain baseball cap, often Raiders black and silver. As the look grows, it crosses cultural lines. Skaters borrow the roomy flannels. Punk and hardcore bands pick up the long shorts and tall socks. Even Hollywood notices. Films like Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood lock the style into pop culture memory. But the blueprint isn't only fashion, it's also communication. In some neighborhoods, the color of a flannel or the way a bandana is tucked can still mark a specific crew. Outsiders copy the outfit for style, while insiders read it for meaning. This double life, part universal cool, part local code, makes the look both magnetic and misunderstood. Retailers rush to meet the demand. Department stores stack shelves with crisp white tees and baggy khakis. Sneaker brands run ads featuring West Coast artists. What started on street corners now drives national sales. The line between underground and mainstream blurs with every shopping mall display. Yet the style never loses its roots. Even as big brands profit, the essence stays tied to Los Angeles, its music, its freeways, its night air, heavy with orange blossom scent and possibility. The clothes carry memories of backyard parties, freestyle battles, and nights when music felt like survival. This West Coast wave sets the stage for the next transformation. With music videos spreading the image, the rest of America and soon the world will pick up the signals. And as hip-hop travels, the style evolves. What happens when television, magazines, and global radio turn a local street look into an international trend? That's where we head next, into the explosion of hip-hop and media that would spread these styles far beyond California, reshaping the very idea of fashion in the 90s. Hip-hop, media, and the mega spread, imagine flipping through TV channels in the mid-90s. One station plays a brand new rap video, another shows a music award show, and every screen seems to feature bold jackets, tilted caps, and gleaming sneakers. What began on a few city blocks now fills living rooms from New York to Paris and beyond. Hip-hop has jumped from local culture to global powerhouse, and it brings its style with it. Music videos become the main highway for this fashion surge. Artists like Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and Dr. Dre broadcast West Coast looks to millions. Across the country, Biggie Smalls and Wu-Tang Clan showcase East Coast swagger with Timberland boots, Carhartt coats, and polo pieces. Each frame is a moving catalog of streetwear, and kids everywhere hit the pause button to study every detail. Magazines add fuel. The Source and Vibe devote glossy spreads to rap style. Even mainstream fashion press like Vogue starts to feature hip-hop-inspired shoots. Suddenly, baggy jeans and heavy gold chains are not just street staples, they're front-row fashion. Radio and touring help too. As hip-hop concerts crisscross the United States and Europe, artists carry their wardrobes like traveling exhibitions. Fans see their heroes live and rush out to mimic the look. Local shops scramble to import American sports gear and the newest sneakers, while small designers spring up to feed the craze. Brands quickly notice the shift. Sports companies partner with rappers for special editions. Clothing labels that once aimed only at athletes now sponsor hip-hop tours. Even luxury houses begin to borrow from street silhouettes, oversized cuts, bold graphics, and statement logos. What once seemed rebellious suddenly sells on Fifth Avenue. This mainstream attention has two faces. On one side, it opens doors for Black and Latino entrepreneurs, giving them a global stage. On the other, it risks washing away the meanings that made the clothes powerful in the first place. A color that signals deep neighborhood loyalty in Los Angeles might become just a trendy accent on a Paris runway. Still, the energy is unstoppable. Kids in small towns swap tapes and VHS recordings, trying to catch the latest video looks. Bootleg shirts appear at markets from Lagos to Manila. The idea that you can express identity through baggy pants, logo caps, and sneakers becomes universal. Television plays a huge part. Sitcoms like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Living Single showcase bright streetwear in prime time. Teen dramas feature characters in oversized denim and big jackets. Even cartoons add hip-hop nods, making the style familiar to audiences of all ages. By the mid-90s, a teenager in Berlin or Tokyo can dress Compton or Brooklyn without ever setting foot in the United States. Fashion becomes a passport, and hip-hop is the travel agent. Local youth groups adapt the look, mixing it with their own traditions and creating brand new hybrids. This rapid spread brings questions. If everyone wears the same logo, does it still mean home turf? For many, the answer is no. It now means belonging to a worldwide culture of music, rhythm, and self-expression. Yet, in the original neighborhoods, the codes haven't vanished. Locals still read details outsiders might miss: the angle of a hat, the shade of a bandana, the crease of a pair of khakis. The global rise of hip-hop fashion sets up the next chapter of our story. With the whole world now watching, another city steps into the spotlight. New York, with its hard edges and layered winters, is about to show how a different rhythm can rewrite the rules of street style. In the next part, we'll walk those East Coast blocks where Timberland boots stomp, icy sidewalks, and leather jackets carry their own sharp message. New York's concrete runway. Step off a subway car in early 90s New York, and you feel it right away. The air is sharper, the pace faster. Winter wind cuts through high-rise canyons, and every block thumps with a different rhythm boombox beats. Corner freestyles, the rattle of spray cans. Here fashion isn't just clothing, it's armor for the city's concrete runway. The first thing you notice is the boots. Wheat-colored Timberlands, scuffed from the cold sidewalks, are everywhere. Originally built for construction sites, they've become the go-to shoe for rappers, graffiti artists, and street entrepreneurs. Their heavy soles and rugged look say you can handle any terrain: subway stairs, icy alleys, rooftop shortcuts. Then there are the jackets: Carhartt work coats, Pellepel leather bombers, and Big Goose Down parkas from brands like Triple Fat Goose keep out the East Coast chill. These pieces start as pure practicality but quickly turn into statements. A thick, perfectly broken-in leather jacket becomes a signature, like a personal shield against the city's noise. Layering is key. Baggy jeans sit over thermal leggings. Hoodies peek from under jackets, with bold team logos: Yankees navy, Knicks orange and blue, standing out like flags. Caps rarely stay straight. They tilt to the side or back, a small but deliberate sign of style and independence. Music drives everything. The emerging sound of boom-bap hard drums and sharp rhymes matches the tough, structured look. Groups like Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep, and Nas rap about city life while wearing the very clothes they celebrate. Magazine covers and music videos turn their street uniforms into worldwide trends. New York's fashion economy also plays a part. The city's garment district produces everything from high-end leather to basic hoodies, letting designers experiment fast. Up-and-coming labels like Fat Farm and 555 Soul mix street authenticity with boutique ambition. Small shops in Soho and Harlem become creative labs where hip-hop meets design. Unlike the relaxed drape of Los Angeles, New York style is precise. Even baggy jeans are carefully creased. Outfits look effortless but are planned, with color coordination that pops against gray sidewalks. Gold chains glint under streetlights, a flash of luxury amid concrete and steel. The streets themselves become a runway. Graffiti writers tag subway cars in fresh coats of paint. Skate crews test tricks on marble ledges. Every corner is a stage, every passerby a potential audience. In this city, clothes must move with you, jumping turnstiles, ducking into cabs, sprinting for a late-night train. Local businesses thrive on the demand. Sneaker shops like Foot Action and Jimmy Jazz keep long lines when new Nike or Adidas models drop. Barbershops double as style forums where customers debate the right jacket cut or boot color. Trends can rise and spread across boroughs in a single weekend. Yet behind the energy lies the same double meaning we've seen before. Certain color combinations or cap tilts may point to neighborhood crews. Police and media sometimes mistake style for affiliation, sparking controversies over profiling and school dress codes. Fashion is expression, but in New York, it can also invite unwanted attention. By the mid-90s, this East Coast aesthetic stands shoulder to shoulder with West Coast looks. From music videos to European runways, the Timberland and hoodie silhouette becomes a global symbol of urban cool. Even high fashion begins to borrow, with designers adding street-ready cuts and bold logos to their collections. New York's influence sets up the next big twist. When luxury designers start echoing the sidewalks, the line between underground and runway begins to blur. Soon, what was once pure street necessity will inspire glittering fashion shows and top-tier ad campaigns. That leap from subway grit to high-end glamour is our next destination, as we explore how big fashion houses absorbed and reworked the language of the streets. High fashion takes notes. Picture a Paris runway in the middle of the 1990s. Spotlights sweep across polished floors, models glide in designer pieces, and suddenly you notice something familiar. Oversized jackets, baggy denim, bold athletic stripes. What once belonged to street corners and music videos now struts in front of fashion editors and celebrities. High fashion has started listening to the streets. This meeting of worlds did not happen by accident. The energy of hip-hop and street crews was impossible to ignore. When magazines from Vogue to The Face printed spreads of rappers in Timberlands or West Coast flannels, designers paid attention. They saw a new attitude in those loose silhouettes and fearless colors, something that felt raw and exciting compared to traditional suits and gowns. Tommy Hilfiger moved first. His red, white, and blue flag logo suddenly appeared on huge rugby shirts and roomy jeans, worn by artists like Aaliyah and Snoop Dogg. Hilfiger invited rappers to his runway shows, turning their everyday wear into global marketing. Ralph Lauren's Polo Sport line followed, mixing classic prep with bold street shapes. Even Italian luxury houses like Versace and Moschino experimented with bright graphics and athletic cuts. Music videos became unofficial lookbooks. When Tupac wore a silk Versace shirt or Biggie paired a Coogi sweater with luxury shades, those pieces sold out overnight. Designers who once aimed only at uptown elites now saw the value of downtown credibility. Street fashion and luxury no longer sat on opposite sides. They began to dance together. The business numbers backed it up. Young consumers wanted the edge of street style with the prestige of designer labels. Department stores filled racks with logo-heavy items, and ad campaigns featured DJs, rappers, and graffiti artists alongside traditional models. What was once dismissed as urban wear became a global profit engine. But this crossover raised questions. Could a look born from neighborhood pride survive when mass-produced for malls and runways? Some street pioneers worried that the meaning would be lost. Clothing once used to claim identity and community risked becoming just another seasonal trend. Artists responded in creative ways. Some launched their own labels to keep control. Sean Diddy Combs built Sean John. Jay-Z and Damon Dash created Rocawear. These brands aimed to keep ownership in the culture's hands, blending luxury fabrics with authentic street cuts. They proved that hip-hop could shape fashion on its own terms, not just inspire outsiders. The influence ran both directions. Luxury designers began to think more like DJs, sampling, remixing, and layering. They borrowed the street's bold graphics and comfort-driven shapes, while streetwear borrowed fine tailoring and premium materials. The result was a new aesthetic, upscale yet rebellious, polished but unmistakably urban. This moment also changed how fashion shows worked. Hip-hop performances became part of runway events. Photo shoots moved from sterile studios to graffiti walls and basketball courts. The language of high fashion shifted, trading stiff formality for storytelling and street rhythm. By the late 90s, it was normal to see a top model in sneakers or a rapper in a designer suit. The gap between luxury boutiques and neighborhood shops narrowed until the border almost disappeared. Today's global street luxury hybrids from Off-White to Fear of God trace their DNA directly to this decade of fearless mixing. Yet the story isn't finished. While big fashion houses embrace the look, one element of street style kept its own fierce pace: sneakers. Far beyond simple accessories, they were trophies, investments, and sometimes flashpoints. As fashion and music kept rising, sneakers sparked their own culture of obsession and competition. And that is where we head next. In the following chapter, we dive into the sneaker wars of the 90s, where shoes carried stories of ambition, status, and the thrill of the chase. The sneaker wars. Close your eyes and picture a crowded sidewalk on a Saturday morning in the mid-90s. A line of teenagers snakes around the corner of a sneaker shop. Some clutch folded bills. Others carry early disposable cameras to capture the moment. The store hasn't even opened, but the new drop is already a small festival. Everyone is here for one thing: the freshest pair of kicks. Sneakers had been part of streetwear for years, but the 90s turned them into a worldwide obsession. Brands like Nike, Adidas, Reebok, and Puma treated every new release like a music premiere. Limited runs, bold colors, and athlete endorsements created a sense of urgency. When Michael Jordan laced up a new pair of Air Jordans on TV, the next day's demand was instant. Music videos and sports highlights acted as free commercials. Rappers wore pristine sneakers as centerpieces of their outfits. Basketball stars like Penny Hardaway and Allen Iverson turned signature shoes into cultural landmarks. Each design carried stories of victory, style, and status. Collectors emerged almost overnight. Sneakerheads traded tips about hidden stockrooms and delivery schedules. Some kids slept outside shops to secure a pair. Others saved for months to buy 2 boxes, one to wear and one to keep spotless, like art. The sneaker became more than footwear. It was investment, self-expression, and street credibility all in one. But this craze had another side. Because certain models were hard to find, they quickly gained high resale value. A rare colorway could double in price within days. Friends sometimes competed fiercely, and news reports described arguments or thefts tied to coveted shoes. Even without violence, the tension around a hot release added an edge to every purchase. Sneaker marketing grew smarter. Companies released shoes in carefully timed drops, building suspense with secret photos and athlete cameos. Pop culture added fuel. Movies like Space Jam turned special edition Jordans into instant legends. Kids from small towns to major capitals learned to follow the calendar like sports fans track playoffs. Regional styles added variety. On the West Coast, clean white Nike Cortez and classic Vans stayed favorites. New York loved Timberland boots in winter and crisp Air Force Ones year-round. Chicago claimed Bulls-colored Jordans. Each city gave sneakers its own meaning, and traveling fans brought those codes home, spreading trends faster than ever. The craze also pushed design forward. Lightweight materials, visible air cushions, and bold color blocking set new standards. Sneakers left the gym and became essential for everyday wear, pairing as easily with a suit as with street gear. High fashion noticed, with designers like Prada and Gucci later creating their own sporty silhouettes. For young people, owning the right sneakers was like holding a ticket to a shared culture. They sparked conversations, friendships, and even small economies of trade and resale. A single pair of shoes could connect strangers across languages and continents. By the end of the decade, sneaker culture was no longer a niche hobby. It was a global movement, with its own heroes, history, and rules. What began as a simple athletic accessory had transformed into a cultural currency. Yet the story of 90s fashion doesn't end with sneakers. While shoes were becoming global symbols, entire outfits inspired by American street life were echoing far beyond the United States. In the next chapter, we'll explore how cities, from London to Tokyo, picked up these looks, adding their own rhythm and meaning to the worldwide style. Global echoes. Imagine a rainy London street in the mid-90s. Under flickering neon signs, a group of teenagers step out of a record shop. Their hoodies are oversized, their sneakers gleam, and American sports logos shine through the mist. Across the world in Tokyo, kids crowd tiny boutiques in Harajuku, hunting for imported baseball caps and baggy jeans. The music playing in their headphones, hip-hop from New York and Los Angeles. The style of American streets has officially gone global. The journey begins with music. Hip-hop tapes and CDs cross borders long before the internet. Touring artists bring their wardrobes to Europe and Asia, turning concerts into traveling fashion shows. When groups like Wu-Tang Clan perform in Berlin or Paris, fans don't just hear the beats, they see the jackets, boots, and caps and want to dress the part. Local youth movements adapt the look. In the UK, early grime and jungle scenes pick up American sportswear and mix it with British club culture. Adidas tracksuits and Nike Air Max become staples for kids from London council estates to Manchester dance floors. Across the Channel, French banlieue crews add their own twist with Lacoste polos and bold parkas. In Japan, the Ura Harajuku district becomes a laboratory of remix. Boutique owners like Hiroshi Fujiwara and Nigo import American streetwear and blend it with Japanese design precision. Brands such as A Bathing Ape and Neighborhood emerge, turning hip-hop style into high-quality local fashion. Each piece feels global, yet unmistakably Japanese. Even places far from major fashion capitals feel the wave. In cities across Africa, young fans pair American jerseys with local fabrics. In South America, graffiti collectives adopt baggy jeans and bold sneakers while adding regional color palettes. The message is the same everywhere. Street fashion is a universal language of youth and creativity. Media technology accelerates the spread. Satellite music channels like MTV and the Box beam videos into living rooms worldwide. Magazines translate interviews and style guides. Bootleg markets thrive, selling copies of the latest jackets and sneakers to kids who might never visit an official store. This worldwide adoption is not simple imitation. Local scenes transform what they borrow. London crews add chunky gold rings reminiscent of Caribbean heritage. Tokyo designers create limited runs with fine tailoring. In Lagos or São Paulo, bright prints and tropical colors reshape baggy silhouettes. The result is a rich exchange rather than a one-way export. Economics play a role too. For many young people, imported sportswear is expensive. Creativity fills the gap. Thrift store finds, custom dye jobs, and handmade jewelry give outfits a personal stamp. This do-it-yourself spirit echoes the earliest days of American hip-hop, proving that style is as much about imagination as money. While fashion travels freely, the deeper codes sometimes stay hidden. A red cap might signal danger in certain Los Angeles neighborhoods, but mean nothing in Berlin. As a result, the global look often loses the tense local meanings tied to colors or cap tilts. For many fans abroad, the clothes represent music and freedom more than territorial lines. By the late 90s, a walk through any major city reveals the shift. Teenagers in Moscow, Cape Town, and Seoul sport baseball caps and sneakers as confidently as kids in Brooklyn or Compton. What started as neighborhood wear has become a worldwide street uniform, flexible, creative, and instantly recognizable. Yet the rapid spread also brings attention from authorities. Some schools and shopping centers in Europe and Asia adopt rules similar to those in the United States, banning certain caps or oversized jackets out of concern for safety. The debate over style and security becomes truly international. This global echo sets the stage for the next turn in our story. As more governments and schools react, clothes become a point of discussion, not just for fashion lovers, but for lawmakers and parents. In the following chapter, we'll see how policing, public fear, and official pushback tried, without much success, to slow the unstoppable rise of street style. Policing, panic, and pushback picture a school morning in the late 90s. Hallways buzz with voices, lockers slam, sneakers squeak on polished floors. But on the bulletin board by the entrance, a new sign grabs attention. No hats, no bandanas, no oversized coats. What began as a fashion statement has now become a public debate. Across the United States and soon in other countries, teachers and administrators worry that certain colors or logos signal trouble. They see news reports linking red and blue clothing to street conflicts and decide to act. Some schools enforce uniform policies overnight, asking students to ditch beloved team caps and baggy pants. Hall monitors carry rulers to check the width of pant legs. Shopping malls follow suit. Security guards stop teens wearing hoodies that seem too loose. In some places, entire color palettes, deep crimson or navy blue, are quietly discouraged. The goal, officials say, is to keep spaces neutral and safe. But for many kids, it feels like being judged by their wardrobe rather than their actions. Law enforcement agencies add to the pressure. Police briefings warn officers to watch for certain sneakers or tilted caps as signs of affiliation. Sometimes these guidelines help in genuine investigations. Other times they create misunderstandings, with innocent fashion choices mistaken for criminal signals. News media amplifies the anxiety. Headlines shout about gang colors and dangerous trends, often blurring the line between style and crime. Television talk shows debate whether baggy clothes hide weapons or simply reflect music culture. Viewers at home get the impression that a hoodie is more than cotton, it's a potential threat. Yet inside the culture, the picture is more nuanced. For countless young people, the clothes are about music, comfort, and creativity, not violence. A Yankees cap might celebrate a favorite baseball team. A bright red jacket could just match a favorite pair of sneakers. Friends use style to express personality and friendship, not hostility. Artists push back through lyrics and interviews. Many rappers explain that fashion is self-expression and that outsiders misread the symbols. Some organize charity fashion shows and community events to prove that streetwear can unite rather than divide. These efforts slowly influence public opinion, reminding people that clothing alone cannot define character. Legal debates arise as well. Civil rights groups argue that broad dress code bans unfairly target specific communities. Court cases question whether a student can be suspended for a hat that matches a sports team. Over time, some policies soften, especially as the feared wave of violence tied to clothing never fully materializes. Meanwhile, the market keeps moving. Big brands and boutiques continue releasing new lines, often in even bolder colors. Sneaker culture thrives. The more authorities try to label certain looks as dangerous, the more those looks become symbols of independence and pride. Outside the United States, similar scenes play out. Schools in the United Kingdom and France introduce rules about hoodies and caps. Tokyo subway stations display posters urging riders not to dress threateningly. Yet youth creativity keeps finding a way around limits, blending banned items with unexpected pieces to create fresh silhouettes. By the end of the decade, it's clear that restrictions cannot contain a movement powered by music, entrepreneurship, and global communication. Fashion proves more adaptable than fear. What once sparked alarm gradually becomes ordinary street style, worn by people of all ages and backgrounds. This tension between suspicion and acceptance leads naturally to the final act of the story. As the 90s close, the very clothes once treated as dangerous are celebrated on red carpets and in glossy magazines. The next chapter explores how that transformation from feared symbol to mainstream icon changed fashion forever. Legacy from fear to icon. Close your eyes and imagine a late 90s awards show. Spotlights sweep across the stage, cameras flash, and the red carpet is alive with star power. Among the glitter and tailored suits, you notice something striking. Baggy jeans paired with designer jackets, bold sports caps worn with diamond jewelry. Only a few years earlier, these same pieces sparked school bands and neighborhood suspicion. Now they are celebrated as high fashion. This reversal didn't happen overnight. It was built through music, entrepreneurship, and persistence. Hip-hop artists who once struggled to get radio play now headline global tours and sign multi-million-dollar endorsements. When someone like Jay-Z steps on stage in a sharp suit and Timberland boots, he sends a quiet message. The street and the boardroom can share the same closet. Designers embrace the change. Luxury houses invite rappers to front-row seats and launch collaborations with street labels. A hoodie can carry a couture logo. Sneakers appear in runway shows. What was once called urban wear transforms into luxury streetwear, a category that still drives fashion decades later. The shift reaches everyday life. Offices that once demanded suits begin to accept stylish hoodies and sneakers. Schools relax strict dress codes as baggy pants lose their stigma. Parents who once worried about gang colors buy similar jackets for themselves. Clothing that once divided generations now brings them together. Media also rethinks its story. Magazines that once warned about dangerous trends now celebrate hip-hop's influence on art and business. Documentaries highlight how these styles encouraged creativity, entrepreneurship, and cross-cultural dialogue. The narrative moves from fear to admiration. Meanwhile, the pioneers of street fashion build lasting empires. Brands founded in the 90s, Fubu, Rocawear, Sean John, become case studies in cultural leadership. They show that ideas born on sidewalks can shape billion-dollar industries. Young designers from Lagos to Seoul follow the example, blending local culture with global street aesthetics. This legacy shapes more than clothing. It changes how people think about identity and expression. The message is clear. You can start with almost nothing and still influence the world's biggest stages. Street style proves that creativity often grows strongest where resources are limited, but imagination is limitless. Today, echoes of that decade are everywhere. Oversized denim, bold sneakers, and sports logos appear in the collections of Balenciaga, Supreme, and Off-White. Vintage 90s pieces are hunted by collectors and worn proudly by a new generation that values authenticity and history. But the legacy isn't only about nostalgia. The 90s taught fashion to speak multiple languages at once, mixing luxury and street, global and local, personal and political. Modern collaborations between rappers and luxury houses trace a direct line back to those first bold choices made in neighborhoods from Compton to Brooklyn. As the decade turned to the 2000s, the fear that once surrounded streetwear had largely dissolved. Instead of symbolizing danger, it symbolized creativity, ambition, and cultural exchange. The hoodie, once questioned, now walks confidently through art galleries, tech offices, and concert halls. This journey from misunderstood street signals to celebrated icons sets up a final reflection. What do these clothes tell us today, decades later, when styles change faster than ever? What stories remain stitched into the seams, waiting to be remembered? In the concluding chapter, we'll pause and look back. We'll consider how those 90s choices still speak in today's wardrobes and what they reveal about the ongoing dance between fashion, identity, and freedom. Closing reflection. Threads that still speak. Stand in front of your own closet for a moment. Maybe there's a favorite hoodie, a pair of worn sneakers, or a cap that feels like part of your story. These pieces look simple, yet each carries memories, places you've been, friends you've met, moods you've lived through. Now imagine a whole decade where clothes weren't just souvenirs of life, but living symbols of belonging, defiance, and creativity. That was the 90s. During those years, street fashion and music built a partnership stronger than most business plans. What began as local signals on a few city blocks, colors, logos, careful folds, grew into a worldwide language. Every jacket and sneaker told a tale of late-night studio sessions, of dances in community centers, of quiet walks home through neighborhoods that taught resilience. Even today, a glance at those vintage looks can unlock the energy of that time. The impact went far beyond appearance. The 90s proved that style could carry meaning across borders without translation. Young people on different continents recognized each other through baggy jeans and bold sneakers long before social media made instant connections. Clothing became a passport to a global conversation about identity and possibility. The decade also reshaped the fashion industry itself. It blurred lines that once seemed permanent: street and luxury, underground and mainstream, art and commerce. Designers learned to listen to neighborhoods, not just runway trends. Entrepreneurs from hip-hop backgrounds built international brands, showing that creativity from the margins could set global standards. And yet, the deeper legacy may be more personal. The 90s reminded everyone that self-expression doesn't have to wait for permission. A plain white t-shirt, a thrifted jacket, or a carefully chosen cap could speak louder than an expensive suit. The language of clothing became democratic, a way for anyone to claim space and tell a story. Even now, when trends shift in the blink of an eye, those lessons stay relevant. Oversized denim returns to catwalks. Retro sneakers inspire new releases. Young designers sample 90s graphics the way DJs sample classic beats. Every revival carries the original spirit of invention and independence. The memories woven into those garments also invite reflection. They remind us how quickly something feared can become something admired. Hoodies once linked to danger now represent comfort and confidence. Logos once read as warnings now decorate high-end boutiques. This change shows how culture grows, by absorbing tension, learning from it, and turning it into art. So next time you pull on a hoodie, lace a pair of sneakers, or tilt a cap just so, consider the echoes you carry. You're wearing more than fabric. You're wearing decades of music, art, struggle, and triumph. You're part of a long conversation about how style and identity feed each other. As we step back from this journey through crime and fashion, one thought lingers. Clothes fade and fray, but the stories they hold remain. The 90s proved that fashion can be both shield and spotlight, a way to stay safe and a way to stand out. Those threads still speak if we choose to listen. And with that, our rewind through crime and fashion, how gangs shaped 90s style, comes full circle. From the bright playfulness of late 80s streetwear to the global impact that still colors wardrobes today, every stitch tells a piece of the story. The runway may have changed, but the message is alive each time someone makes a simple outfit their own.